I'm just starting to turn everything on.
Okay.
Yeah. 7 o'clock.
Okay. Tom?
I'm ready if you're ready.
Sure.
You go first, don't you announce it?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Good evening. This is the November 18, 2019 work session meeting.
I'd like to call the 7 PM work session meeting to order. Joyce, we have a roll call at Township Committee.
Sure. Mr. Boonstra?
Here.
Mrs. Rubenstein?
Here.
Mr. Shanley?
Here.
Mayor Madigan?
Here. Joyce, could you read the open work session statement, please?
Sure. This regular work session meeting of the Wyckoff Township Committee is now in session. In accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act, notice of this meeting appears on our annual scheduled meetings. A copy of the annual schedule has been posted on the bulletin board in Town Hall. Copies been filed with the town clerk, the Record, Ridgewood News, and North Jersey Herald and News. All newspapers having general circulation throughout the Township of Wyckoff. At least 48 hours prior to the meeting, the agenda was posted, filed, and mailed to the papers.
Okay, thank you. We'll come back to the Finance Committee signed vouchers. Before we go to the 10-minute public comment, first of all, welcome everybody. So nice to see so many people. The alarm's going off right on schedule. You ever notice anytime you come in, we always have something going on, but everybody welcome this evening. We have a lot going on, and many of you, I know the fire people will be leaving because of their scheduled drills, and our police officers are out doing what they do best. So I'm going to go to the end of this evening and do it now. Wish everybody a happy and blessed Thanksgiving. So thank you. First thing I wanted to do before we open to the public is I just want to confirm the process on the vacancy we had by the resignation of Brian Scanlon on November 5th. This morning, our clerk, Joyce Santamaro, sent out to the 3 candidates that were presented to the Township Committee, which were Lisa Rydell, Elizabeth Fisher, and Carla Papalato. She sent out emails this morning, and she mailed in the regular postal this afternoon the following, which will summarize everything. Dear respective candidate, each got individual letters. On Tuesday, December 3rd, 2019, at approximately 8:45 p.m., after the business portion of the regular Township Committee meeting, the Township Committee will conduct individual interviews of the 3 nominees for the vacancy in the Township Committee created by Mr. Scanlon's resignation. We still have a few logistics that will work out for that evening or that time. Second paragraph, the Township Committee will make and announce a selection of the individual to fill the vacancy at a special meeting on Thursday, December 5th, 2019, at 7 p.m. in the second-floor courtroom in Wyckoff Town Hall. The newly selected member of the Township Committee will be administered the oath of office at that time. The Township Committee looks forward to speaking with you, and thank you for your willingness to serve, and it's signed by Joyce Santamaro, a municipal clerk. So, just so nobody needs to ask any questions or figure it out, I thought we'd let everybody know what was mailed out. With that, can I have a motion to open the meeting, 10-minute public comment period, 2 minutes per speaker, public comment on any government issue that a member of the public feels may be of concern to the residents of the Township of Wyckoff?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Anybody from the public wish to address the governing body? Come forward, name, address. Seeing none, can we have a motion to close?
Motion to close. Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay, we come to one of our nice events this evening, and I'm going to ask the Fire Commissioner, Tim Shanley, to administer the oath of office to Junior Firefighter Drew McNamara from Volunteer Company Number 1. Other way around. Left hand of the Bible. Thank you. Raise your right hand.
I state your name.
I, Drew McNamara,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States and in this state,
in the United States and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
so help me God.
so help me God.
And I state your name.
And I, Drew McNamara,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly
that I will faithfully, partially, and unjustly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
of the office of
of the office of
volunteer
volunteer
fireman,
fireman,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
and that I will not use my office
and that I will not use my office
to grant preferential treatment,
to grant preferential treatment,
nor to seek personal gain, favor, or advantage
nor to seek personal gain, favor, or advantage,
not available to the public,
not available to the public,
so help me God.
so help me God.
We're gonna congratulate you, and then we're gonna take a photo, right? Two, you're in the middle. Perfect. Like that.
Where's the fire chief?
Yeah, where's the fire chief? Wow. Bring the fire chief. Where's the fire chief? I'll take Come on, chief. Oh, good thing you got a white shirt. Good thing I got a white shirt. Need me in there?
You want to come next to
Chief, good to see you. Good. Good.
Just put the chief in the middle.
Yeah, here, I'll switch with you.
Chief, why don't you go in the middle?
Go in the middle, okay. Oh, boy. Snapping pictures and we're not ready.
I gotta salute the chief.
Oh, yeah, Mom will be here too. Come on, Mom.
There you go.
On the other side of him there.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, we're holding like a bookmark. There you go.
Okay, there's two aunts here, did I get in the photo? And I know many of you firefighters have to go back because of the drill, so feel free to leave, and thank you again for all your services. We're gonna continue the meeting, but if you have to get back to Fire Company 1, this probably is the time to make your easy exit. Okay, continue with the meeting. I'd like to ask our Police Chief, David Murphy, to come forward to present the AAA Platinum Award for the AAA for the Northeast United States Community Traffic Safety.
Thank you, sir. No, Lieutenant Van You're not getting out of it.
Yeah, the mic, be great.
Center. Yeah, it's center. Oh, yeah. You put the work in, you get the credit. So every year, AAA, used to be of New Jersey, is now AAA Northeast. They run the whole entire East Coast. They do a grant award. And that part of that award, it goes from everything from education to enforcement to engineering. And part of what these two gentlemen do, along with every male and female officer we have in the department, is amongst the enforcement aspect of it, we utilize signboard cement messaging, we utilize the traffic radar assembly, we use everything we possibly can from technology in order to put towards this grant application. These two gentlemen spend hours upon hours of putting this grant together and submit it to AAA. There's very few that get granted this Excellence of Award, which is the Platinum Award, which is the highest award awarded by them. Two of the main focuses of this year's grant application was the redesign of the intersection at Lafayette and Ravine with the four-way stop sign, as well as if you look at Godwin Avenue in the area of CVS, there's all orange bollards up to avoid traffic from misusing lanes to avoid the traffic signal. That in conjunction with the township's effort and their financial and their commitment to us to help us with this component of such enforcement and allowing us all this technology and tools at our fingertips. Without them and the bond between the police department and the town, and the officers, this never would happen. So on behalf of the Wyckoff Police Department, Mr. Mayor, we'd like to give you the Platinum Award from the police department and continued success in the years to come.
Great. Thank you very much. Yeah, we will. Township 3 is one done. Move the mic.
Move the mic. I gotta move it right over there. Watch the wire.
Doesn't even matter.
Thank you. I'm just going to make one quick remark here. On behalf of the township, we appreciate not only what you do, but what our officers do, traffic crossing officers. Everybody's involved in safety in the town. There's quite a prestigious award that you received. It's the Platinum Award. So it's pretty high. I think there was only a couple of other towns that have achieved it. So thank you again for all that you do. I'll give it back to you, or leave it over here with Bob.
Mayor, just to add to that, our police department does such an extraordinary job that we win this award year on year, year after year. So this is not out of the ordinary for this police department to win this award from AAA. So, thanks guys. Thanks for everything.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, continue with the agenda. I'm going to read a letter from the township in recognition of 5 of our police officers who, as you'll see and hear, did a great job, not only with mutual aid, but put their lives at risk over in Allendale. So let me read the letter, and then I'm going to ask the chief to say a couple of words, and I'm going to ask those officers to come on up and receive your letter and naturally take a photo, right? Okay, this goes to police officers Ryan Tenney, Ryan Noon, Michael Flynn, Kenneth Marcoux, and Sergeant Dan Kellogg. You are to be commended for your actions on September 13th, 2019, at approximately 3:50 a.m., when a residential burglary occurred in Allendale on West Crescent Avenue. Township of Wyckoff Squad 1 officers Ryan Tenney, Ryan Noon, Michael Flem, and Kenneth Marcoux responded to a request from the Allendale Police Sergeant to assist in setting up a perimeter. Shortly after the arrival of the 4 Wyckoff police officers, an officer from Midland Park spotted the suspect and a foot pursuit began. The night was moonless, and in this pursuit, they crossed through many thick woods and 2 tributaries of the Hohokus Brook, which made for a very dangerous situation. A few minutes later, the suspect was spotted in a rear yard on Park Ave and headed back into the Hohokus Brook, where Officer Tenney and Officer DeVite from the Midland Park Police and others attempted to take the suspect into custody. Upon the arrival of Sergeant Daniel Kellogg, he observed a violent struggle taking place in the brook between the suspect and at least 2 other officers. The suspect was finally handcuffed, but he still refused, and as he began to walk, he began to try and bite every officer present. Sergeant Kellogg assisted the officers in removing the suspect from the Hohokus Brook, and the officers began carrying him out over 100 yards to the awaiting ambulance. This suspect continued to violently struggle and attempted to bite the 8 officers who were trying to carry him. This caused the group to stumble several times, injuring several officers. The suspect was finally strapped to a stretcher and placed in an Allendale ambulance to be transported to Newbridge Medical Center. It also should be noted that the suspect had just been released from state prison after spending 3 years for a series of burglaries, and he was 300 pounds and later admitted to being high on medication. All the officers involved showed courage under extreme conditions, and at least 2 of the Wyckoff police officers were treated for injuries over the following days and weeks. Officer Tenney in particular showed great initiative and courage as he was in the Hohokus Brook fighting an extremely violent suspect. The actions of Wyckoff Squad 1 officers and Sergeant Kellogg that night is commended for their selfless bravery under some of the most difficult conditions ever encountered. Their actions on September 13th were critical to the successful arrest of a very violent suspect. It should be further noted that the suspect was freed from the county jail on September 17th and committed yet another nighttime burglary in Allendale on September 19th. Anyways, in conclusion, the police officers Ryan Tenney, Ryan Noon, Michael Flynn, Kenneth Marcoux, and Sergeant Dan Kellogg are commended for their actions during this event. All officers acted professionally and used their training and experience to ensure that the suspect was subdued and transported appropriately and safely. These officers exemplified the highest standards of the police department and conduct themselves in a manner that truly defines the Wyckoff Police Department's mission. Job well done. Gentlemen.
So we kind of dubbed them the Allendale 5. Come up if you would for a second. So Sergeant Kellogg, Officer Tenney, Officer Noon, Officer Marcoux, and Officer Flynn. That evening, like many evenings, they're working a midnight shift. Right, you heard the mayor's letter. We never know what's going to happen. The world as we know it has changed. Policing has changed in our 25 plus years. I know Dan and I have been here. Everything changes. So they have to adapt and overcome to a lot of what they see now and a lot of actions that they have to deal with. These 5 gentlemen went out that evening, got called to a mutual aid call in Allendale. Simple little, for us, it's a burglary call. Okay, the guy was set up a perimeter. A lot of times, unfortunately, they're out of the perimeter before we get there. Not this evening. I had the opportunity to watch the body cam footage from another officer's camera, watching Officer Tenney, watching other officers in waist-deep water trying to fight somebody. For anybody who's been in a pool and you've been messing around, you know that's very difficult. And when you're fighting for your life, because that's what you're doing, at that point it's not, it is what it is. You're playing around and we'll go home and shake hands. You're fighting for your life. And that's what these 5 did. That's what these 5 are getting credit for. They exemplify what Wyckoff Police Department stands for, what our goals are. There's a reason we're accredited, and it's due to all the officers, and not just the 5 that are here, but to all the officers. But these 5 stood up that night, stepped up, did what needed to be done, and they were very pivotal. 2 of the 5, as you heard the mayor say, were injured. They were only out, I think Sergeant Keller for a couple days. Officer Noon and I guess Ryan too, was back to work the next day, injury aside. That's a credit to them. It's a credit to them to what they did, what they endured, and they still come out every day and do this job for all of us. So with that said, congratulations, gentlemen, an excellent job again. So on the photos and on the department side, they've also received letters of merit that go in their personnel file, that goes with their career from this point forward. I tell you, he's released again. So we're still doing paperwork and extra injured, and he's released again.
How do you gonna do this way?
It is a tough, I know.
I tell you, you know
We have
what?
big guys sitting on the back.
I tell you, I'd love to have you guys stand behind us, looks like you're guarding us, you know?
Yeah, none of them are small, so.
We gotta make some room here, let's,
With the guy in the white
now we're
shirt.
doing good, now we're doing
Forward this time. In a little bit. Careful,
Well.
Thanks again, guys.
Thank you so much. All right, so this will be an opportunity, should you wish to do firefighter work or police, but if you're into ordinances and so on, you're welcome to stay.
Take care, Rita. Good to see you. Bye, Nancy. Good to see you. Take care. Thank you. Thank you. You too.
How you doing on those vouchers?
They're done.
Are they all done?
Oh, no, Rudy.
Rudy, almost done the vouchers?
I'm working on it. We're gonna be here a while, I have time.
We get through that.
You're still rolling, right?
Yeah, still rolling. Good point.
It's only good stuff here.
Are we getting it up again?
And then you lie.
Ryan New,
Okay, roll up.
Kenneth Must, M-A-R-C-O-U-F.
I think a fire would just be.
Michael Flynn. Okay, we're gonna continue on with the meeting. We're still working on the vouchers, right, Rudy?
We can report progress on the vouchers.
We're making progress.
We're not there yet.
Okay, with that, I'm gonna ask Bob Shannon, Administrator, give us a review of the 8 PM business meeting agenda. Bob?
Okay, Mr. Mayor, thank you. The 8 PM agenda has some modifications to it. There are 3 ordinances on the agenda for introduction this evening. They are ordinances which implement the court-approved affordable housing zoning, and they have been revised by Mr. Landell, and they are ready for introduction. If there's any questions, I know Mr. Landell would be happy to answer them for you. The public hearing and further consideration will be on 12/17 to allow the planning board the opportunity to review them on 12/11 and issue a recommendation. Okay, moving on, I just would like to point out that Resolution 322 is the endorsement of an application to the Bergen County Community Development Block Grant Program. That's to purchase and install energy-efficient windows at the Larkin Senior Citizen Complex. I also would like to point out to you that Resolution number 320, which establishes a new 4-year contract for firefighter medical mandate testing and school crossing guard hearing and vision testing, is noteworthy because when you look at the price over what will be 8 years, the increase has been $10 over 8 years for
Great job,
one.
Bob.
So that's an example of using the purchasing law to our advantage. The next item I want to point out is Resolutions 324 and 325 establish non-tax revenue over a 25-year period. They are new leases for the carriers, telephone carriers on the cell tower. So those were a little more significant and complex procurements, but that establishes those. We have another resolution, 326, which is to authorize emergency purchases and procedures to make repairs that were discovered this past Friday at one of our sewer pumping stations. So that's a positive. And I believe that's it. I will answer any questions that the governing body has on the agenda. I will point out that we do have one ordinance scheduled for public hearing and further consideration, and that is the ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 54 of the Code of the Township of Wyckoff, which establishes fees for off-duty police assignments. Those would be things when private companies, private utilities request to hire police officers for off-duty assignments such as traffic control when roads are being excavated. So that is scheduled for public hearing and adoption this evening.
Mr. Booster?
Okay, I just want to thank Bob Shannon and Rob Landell for writing those 3 ordinances that we're going to introduce tonight. Time was becoming of the essence on these ordinances for our approval of our affordable housing plan, and they weren't forthcoming. The planner is very busy, so Bob and Rob took the time to write these ordinances, and I understand you guys spent most of one Saturday here doing it, reviewing it, so I think we owe them a vote of thanks. And does everyone know the location of the properties? Just, okay, it's the 2 on Greenwood and the 1 on Franklin here, so.
Mr. Boocher, I'd like to say thank you, but the credit really goes to Mr. Landell. I thought he did an outstanding job
Okay.
with them.
That's great.
I simply brought him coffee.
I will say thank you. We just one little correction. Our planner, Beth McManus, did actually.
She reviewed
came up
them,
with
didn't
She
she?
came up with the first draft and.
Oh, she
Bob
did,
and I
okay, then,
modified it from
okay,
there, yeah, so,
okay.
yeah.
Then I will include her in my
Yeah.
remarks, so thank you.
Thank you, Rudy.
Rob, since you're right in front of the mic, do you have any thing that you wish to share with us this evening?
We've got the 3 ordinances on the agenda. I got a rider back from the realtor on 240 Demers. So it's a little different, and I think she acknowledges it's a little different in that they still haven't, Golden still hasn't signed the contract. But they send it back with the rider, and if we sign the rider, they say they'll sign it and we move it quickly. But the rider, I don't want to get into too many details because, I guess it's still contract negotiation. We go in closed session if you want, but the rider is so onerous and gives such a small window with respect to inspections, and it doesn't even really give us a right to get out as a result of those inspections. I mean, I talked to our consulting engineer, Boswell. I talked to Frank Rossi today. At the very least, I mean, we need to do a sweep, but at the very least, he wants to do a preliminary assessment, which would probably, he could do within 30 days. It's nothing invasive, but he looks at the history of the property, they'll walk the property, look for potential environmental problems, then we can do a scan with that. So I'm gonna send back a response to their rider saying that we need to do that, and it takes forever with this entity, but we're moving forward.
Would you consult with Ms. Rubenstein, because she was very instrumental when we looked at the property assessment, the value,
Yeah, I'd like to talk just quick
and
before
the
you send the rider
back,
back.
and the next.
Because they already put it
48,
under
72 hours.
contract, which obviously it's not under contract yet.
No one's ever
so-
signed it on their
yeah.
end.
That'd be great. That's fantastic news, I think.
Yeah,
We're in the right direction.
it's just moving slowly.
And Tom, thanks for all your help
Yep.
with that over the past several weeks, months, days, whatever it was. Anything else? You good?
I'm good.
Okay, thank you. All right, committee reports. Rudy, you look like you're ready.
I'm not ready, but I'm gonna keep it brief
Tim, are you
anyway,
ready?
but I'll go.
Sure. We'll go to the left. We'll
I'll
do
just skip it
Tim.
all, that's all.
Let's do Tim. We'll do it left to right.
All right, sure. I'll be brief. The rec board met on Monday of last week. They approved the basketball coaches for travel basketball and rec basketball. I also want to congratulate the football program, the Pee-wees grades third grade and fourth grade, as well as the juniors grades fifth and sixth grade, won their Super Bowl yesterday. They had games down in Paramus, and they both came back with the championship. So I want to congratulate the boys that and the girls, because there is a girl on the fifth grade and sixth grade team in the fifth grade, and so it's both boys and girls won and brought back the Super Bowl to Wyckoff. So we're going to bring them in hopefully on December 3rd to congratulate them and give them a proclamation and congratulate them on a job well done. And I particularly want to congratulate Tim Murtha, who is the head coach of the juniors, who, was asked to take over that team, and he did a fantastic job coaching those boys. I got nothing but praise for the way he handled the boys and handled both the A team and the B team. He coached the B team as well, so he was there for both the A team and the B team games, and did a tremendous job. I got nothing but praise, and I heard nothing but praise on the job that he did. So, and he's a very busy person, so the fact that he was able to find that time to do that and put together a coaching staff of everybody that pitched in and did great on offense, on defense, and it was just a tremendous season. And my son, who had never played sports before, and he's in the fifth grade, decided to play football this year, and I didn't think he was going to make it through the first week. He made it through the whole season, and he wants to come back and play next year. So, I mean, he's on the B team, but he had fun, and he's going to be playing next year. So I congratulate, and I really thank Tim Murtha and the coaching staff for, because when he first started, he couldn't make one lap around the field. He was stopping, and so they knew he just needed to keep doing it. And by the end of the season, he wasn't the last one around. He was maybe the third or fourth last, but he continued to progress, and he likes playing football. So they made it very, very enjoyable for him. So congratulations to the Pee-wees and the juniors. I also attended the company meetings for the fire department last Monday. And I just want to let everyone know that the Taste of Wyckoff, their main fundraiser, is going to happen in January 31st at the Y. So, get your tickets now, and, we'll see you in January for that. And that's it. And lastly, I was going to do a fireworks meeting to basically have a recommendation on how we distribute the funds that we raised from the fireworks for our first responders. The plan was to do it on the 5th of December, but obviously there's now a meeting planned here. But one of the things I have an issue with is the time, because I do have an event at Eisenhower for my son. He's presenting his I don't know what to call it, but his plan for TREPS, where it's basically they encourage them to be entrepreneurs and come up with a plan on how to sell something. And, it's the first time he's ever trying to do that. So I don't want to miss that, and I'm going to be there. It starts at 6. I don't know that I'm going to get here by 7, and that's why my plan was to do the fireworks meeting by 7:30. So I may be a little late for that meeting.
Okay, so the meeting on the 5th, it's got to be a special meeting that we have to notice for. Are you suggesting a different time?
I would suggest to do it at 7:30. That way I won't be
have a problem
late.
with
I don't
that.
like to be
Okay with
late
that.
for a meeting. I'm usually
All right.
All
punctual.
right,
Better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
Half
That's
hour's
fine.
gonna make that much difference.
that's fine. Bob, can you make that note, and Joyce, make that note?
Okay,
Please notify the 3 candidates of such,
sure.
and then when we post for the special meeting, it'll be reflected as such as a way. We still got some
Right.
logistical things to work
Yes.
out, which we'll
Okay.
do.
That would just make it easier so that I make sure I'm not late and
Okay.
I don't miss the event at Eisenhower.
All right, that's good. All right, Rudy, you need a little more time,
No,
or?
I'll just wing it, that's all.
All right.
I'll be brief as well. The planning board meeting on November 13th had one item, actually, that testimony was taken. It was the KLN application. And the attorney for the applicant presented 2 witnesses. 2 more will be presented at the December meeting, and hopefully we can resolve this. This is the application that was done without any permitting. A significant bit of work was done without permitting. It's a very difficult application, very difficult. Bob mentioned briefly the problem we had, now we're on to sewers, at the sewage pumping station on Bridle Path. And it's a fairly significant problem. There was a backup because of actually a resident noticed that there was waste coming out of one of the covers, one of the manholes, and reported it. And we called in Northwest Bergen Sewer Authority under a shared service we have with them, and they were there till 1:30 in the morning repairing a mechanical float device that malfunctioned. But when they, I'm paraphrasing a memo here, in the process of completing that repair, they found more significant problems with the pumping station, which we know is getting old. It's almost 20 years old, and that we've rebuilt the pumps a few times over the years, but it needs, the largest problem is that there seem to be cracks in the holding tank, which constitutes a health safety problem. So the likelihood is we're going to be coming to the Township Committee and looking to go forward with emergency procurement procedures. We have enough money from what our engineer estimates it will cost in our emergency sewer fund. So, but this is going to be a big project. It's going to require taking the station out of service for about a month, creating a new temporary holding tank. It's going to be quite a bit of work. So you'll hear more about that as we progress. Leaf collection is ahead of schedule. The DPW hopes to be done with the second round in District 6 by the end of this week, which is pretty extraordinary. The weather's been cooperating, and a lot of leaves came down quickly in that weekend storm a couple weekends ago, so they're making good progress. And I think I'll leave it at that, Mayor.
Have they noted that there's been increased efficiency with the second vehicle that they're using?
Yeah. In fact, we were not able to secure as many temporary workers this year as we have been in the past. And we're making do with the smaller number of temporary workers. So yeah, there's more efficiencies there.
Okay, that's a
Good
cost
question.
savings also.
It is, yeah.
Okay, Melissa,
Sure. Environmental Commission is actually meeting right now, since we had to move our meeting, happened at the same time tonight, so I'll circle back with them as soon as our meeting's over. Design Review is meeting tomorrow evening about the outdoor cabinet building on the corner of Franklin and Wyckoff. It looks like they've already started work on the building, so I'm not exactly sure where they are versus what Design Review is approving, but
Probably design review, just to jump in here. They're just
Colors, I
gonna
think.
Colors,
Yeah.
which they've been doing prep work, it looks
right.
like.
Okay, so I'll circle back with them as well. The Board of Health introduced 2 ordinances the fees for the commissary establishment in Wyckoff, and also tightening the regulations on feeding wildlife in Wyckoff. So those will hopefully be passed at our December meeting. And I just wanted to extend my condolences to the Frisco and Aranda families on the passing of Hilda Frisco, who was a big loss to our community, to she was over 30 years in the real estate community, and her grandchildren are now in our schools, and just wanted to extend our condolences.
That reminds me that, since our last meeting, planning board attorney Joe Perconti has passed away. And the mayor and I and Rob was there. I saw Rob Glendale and his wife at there was a funeral mass a week ago Wednesday, and last Wednesday. And the mayor and I attended with the planning board chairman, Rob Fortunato. Ms. McNamara was there. Mr. Landell was there. I think I saw Anna from downstairs there, Anna Cashier there. And Joe was only 54 years old, and he was a very good attorney, and it was a life well lived, even though it was much too short. So we'll miss him.
It's well said. We're going to miss him. Great guy. I only have really one thing, which I'm going to move up here. A few weeks ago, we extended a proclamation to the Christian Healthcare Center for receiving a very prestigious recognition, the only recognition for their quality care in the state of New Jersey. And folks from the Christian Healthcare Center came in this week to see a police department. I think they're seeing the fire department. Then they're going to see the ambulance corps. All three first responders. They're going to come in. They had a gala a month or so ago, the end of October, 23rd, I believe it was, to honor them, and they presented them each with a donation. And with that, they brought a very, very nice plaque that I think would be nice for us to hang. I'd like to read it. Christian Healthcare Center gives thanks to God for and honors the police department, fire department, and volunteer ambulance corps of the Township of Wyckoff for their dedicated service and unwavering commitment to our community. Each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. That came from Peter 4:10. So we thank them for doing that for us. And at the same time, somehow I get to be the keeper of letters that were sent to them, one from Governor Murphy, and then one from the state of New Jersey Senate and General Assembly. So I'm going to paraphrase or pick out parts of the very nice letter from Governor Murphy. Since its founding in 1911, Christian Healthcare Center has grown to be a proud New Jersey institution, dedicated to providing high-quality senior living, short-term rehabilitation, and mental health services to the communities it serves. In addition to serving as a source for physical healing and mental wellness, the organization has given back over the last 20 years through the Christian Healthcare Center Foundation's steadfast advocacy and philanthropic endeavors. As governor, I commend the strong leadership and dedicated staff of both Christian Healthcare Center and the foundation for their commitment to offering compassionate care and vital healthcare services and to fulfill the needs of the community. Tonight's event, because this commemorated it when they had this event on October 23rd, serves as an opportune time to applaud the outstanding men and women of the Wyckoff Police Department as you celebrate the year's gala honorees. As a state, we are honored to benefit from your hard work and selfless dedication to ensure your safety, health, and wellness of our residents. Thank you for unwavering commitment to the community. So that was from Governor Murphy. Again, this was the presentation made to the police department, hence they singled out the police department. And they also had another proclamation that was given to us from the joint legislative, General Senate and General Assembly, and this one, the print's smaller, so when the print's smaller, I take my glasses off. Okay, the Senate and General Assembly of the State of New Jersey are pleased to honor and salute the members and leaders of the Volunteer Fire Department, First Aid Squad, Ambulance Corps, and Police Departments of Hawthorne, Wayne, and Wyckoff, all highly esteemed first responders in their communities who are being recognized at the Christian Healthcare Center during their Celebration of Excellence event at the Venetian in Garfield on October 23rd, 2019. Whereas those within the Police Department, Volunteer Fire Departments, First Aid Squad, and Ambulance Corps have given unselfishly of their time, energy, and resources to securing the safety and welfare of citizens. And whereas the people of the state of New Jersey are genuinely indebted to the hardworking and concerned individuals as exemplified by the members of the Volunteer Fire Department, First Aid Squad, Police Department, and Ambulance Corps in Wyckoff, and the special whose efforts are dedicated to improving the effectiveness of all communities and the quality of life for their neighbors. And whereas the first responders of Hawthorne, Wayne, and Wyckoff have proven to be models in excellence in duty and performance, and have earned the respect and admiration of their neighbors and the members of this legislature, now therefore be it resolved by the Senate and General Assembly of the State of New Jersey that this legislature hereby joins in honoring and saluting the members and leaders of the police departments, volunteer fire departments, fire aid squads, and ambulance corps of Hawthorne, Wayne, and Wyckoff, and pays grateful tribute to the exemplary service and commitment, and extends sincere best wishes for their continued success and full endeavors. And be it further resolved that a duly authenticated copy of this resolution, signed by the Senate President Assembly and attested by the Senate Secretary and the Assembly Clerk, be transmitted to the police departments, the volunteer fire departments, the first aid squads, and the ambulance corps of Hawthorne, Wayne, and Wyckoff. So we thank the General Assembly for doing that, and I know we ordered the Christian Healthcare Center before, but I think we should give them another round of applause for what they mean to our community and for this exemplary recognition of the care they give. So. All right. I have nothing further to report.
We ought, just
Anybody
one
else?
other thing, yeah. Rudy, Tom, and I, and Bob Shannon, and Rob Landell, we all attended the Wise Legacy Gala on Friday.
Right.
Honoring their donors and their memberships. So it was a very nice event at the Women's Club of Ridgewood. Some really good food from vendors around town. Aldo Casio was there. With Market Basket was
Market
there.
Basket.
And Sarah, I believe, was there. So it was a very nice night.
Was it Nicholas Marcus?
Nicholas
Yeah,
Marcus.
Markets.
I had one thing to add. We may want to, it's gonna make it easier on me with regards to going by the 240 Demers now. If you guys authorize, the writer they sent me over asked for, once we get finished, a $5,000 deposit, which I think is reasonable. It's a $100,000 contract, so $5,000 deposit, if we get there, is reasonable. And also, if you can authorize the expenditure to have Boswell do a preliminary assessment, if I ever get there, that'll save me the time of having to come back here in another meeting. It's up to you. I'm just trying to streamline it best I can.
I think it makes sense, Bob, procedurally. Can we do that this evening? Can we add that?
Sure, we can make a motion and a second and have a vote.
Okay, so when it's time, you help us guide, unless you want to do it now, because we have some
Do it now.
time to write it out. You want to write it out so we know the way it will be worded?
Sure,
So we're
just-
prepared at the 8 o'clock meeting?
You want to do it now? We can do
You
it.
guys can write it out, right? Or you want to discuss how to write it out?
I don't think we need to write it. It's just that you can just do a verbal motion authorizing the expenditure of $5,000 for a deposit for the contract, and, which goes towards the purchase price, obviously. And also the expenditure of funds on a preliminary assessment by Boswell Engineering. I can't imagine it would cost more than $7,500, probably less than that. But if you want to authorize up to $7,500 for a preliminary assessment, once we get it out of attorney review
Okay.
and a final contract.
Okay, so Bob, we'll add that to the official meeting.
I'll make the motion now.
Can we do it now?
Yeah, let's
We do it now?
I'll make the motion now that we authorize a deposit of $5,000 on the 240 Demers Ave property
And we also authorized funds up to $7,500 for Boswell Engineering to do a preliminary assessment on the condition of the property.
Can we put it in there that the 5,000 is fully refundable, as per the inspection clause of the contract?
Sure.
Okay, so added in my motion.
Second.
Mr. Boonstra?
Yes.
Mrs. Rubenstein?
Yes.
Mr. Shanley?
Yes.
Mayor Madigan?
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I just got one thing to add. The zoning board meeting is this Thursday, the 21st. And I also just want to report one other thing on the rec board. The Ben Landale Memorial sign, we had that taken down by the DPW for the winter, because last winter, it got shredded by the winds and the cold weather. So it'll go back up in the
Thank you.
spring.
Thank you for preserving the sign.
Yeah,
I
yeah, because
appreciate
it got destroyed, but we found funds in the rec board, in order to purchase a new one, at the end of the winter. So we wanted to preserve
I have some
it.
other signs if you want to put some up there.
That's the Rudy sign would look nice right next to it. I would love that.
Any requests, I think it's for target practice.
Mr. Mayor, I have some brief marks. You seem to inadvertently skip over me on my PAI report.
No, I didn't inadvertently, but go ahead. We have some
Oh,
time.
that wasn't your full report?
We thought you were done.
No,
That was too short to
you
be
were
done. It was
done.
too short to be complete.
That was reasonable is what it was.
So, all right, so we're very happy to listen to your abbreviated PIA report.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to point out regarding the Mountain Avenue culvert, I was looking to see if there were any funds so that we could start the engineering work now, because it's going to be a process which will include DEP permits. We were not able to locate the necessary funds, so those funds will be part of the temporary budget that we're going to ask you to consider on January 1st at the reorganization meeting. It's the best we can do. I wanted to point out that we have submitted a preliminary grant and received a notice today that it's complete to the DEP to hopefully obtain some funding for an electric vehicle charging station. More to come on that. I attended the Ridgewood Water Open House on November 12th. Essentially, an open house is a process where they have staff explaining various aspects of what they do. So it was interesting. I also wanted to provide an update regarding the police hiring. There was a police officer test administered on November 13th, and the test for the sergeant position will be on January 16th. Just as way of a reminder, we use third-party independent agencies, specifically New Jersey Chiefs of Police Association, in order to ensure the process that all police officers follow is fair. I also wanted to point out, and I'm just about done, that our social media followers and e-news registrants continue to increase. And at the next meeting, there will be a resolution asking the governing body to consider extending for calendar year 2020 the rotational list for vehicle towers. When a vehicle has a mechanical breakdown or a crash on a public road, we have our police department administers a rotating list of towers. There's criteria that the towers have to satisfy, and that there will be a recommendation. And that's all I have.
That's nice.
Thanks.
Okay, with that, can I have a motion to adjourn the,
That was brief.
this, portion of the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So we'll be back at 8 o'clock for